Hey everyone, welcome back. So today's Wednesday, a lot of stuff to cover today. It's going to be a long video, so bear with me. There's going to be chapters down in the bottom, so you can always scroll to what you want to see. But we got a couple of tweets from the Wolf of Wall Street, Will Clement tweet as well. We got Central African Republic has Bitcoin legal tender now. MircoStrategy along with Fidelity, Riot Blockchain news, they're going to be huge. Argo provided some numbers, and then we're going to do a deep dive on Stronghold. We'll go over all the numbers. So like I said, this is going to be a long one. So as always, not financial advice. Do your own research, so forth, so on. I'm investing in the following coins and companies. And let's get into the miners here first, and then we'll get into Bitcoin and the rest of the news that we got going on. So here we go. So Annie was actually down today 5.33% to $1.42. That's Sphere 3D. Argo was up actually 2.03% to 75 cents. Bit Digital was down 2.38% to $2.05. Bitfarms was up 3.25% to $2.86. CleanSpark was down another 3.55% to $6.79. Core Scientific was up 0.82% to $6.12. DigiHost was up 1.95% to $2.61. DMG was down 4.27 to 38 cents, and Hive was basically neutral today. Hut 8 was up 1.13% to $3.59. Iris Energy was down 0.89% to $10. Luxfolio was up 0.05 to 21 cents, basically flat. Marathon was down 2.22% to $16.72. Mawson was up quite a bit, 7.14% to $4.20. Riot Blockchain was down 0.9% to $10.98. And Stronghold, which is the new one that we're covering here, is up 3.75 to $3.87. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here really quick. So Bitcoin right now on the daily chart, you can see it's between our supports here right now. It's between our support of 37,500 and our resistance of basically 40,700 or so. And it's right in the middle of those two right now. We'll have to see how this plays out, but on the 1 hour chart, we are right in the middle. We've been trading kind of sideways here for the last couple 10, 12 hours or so. Going on, not a lot of action, which is neither bad nor good. So we'll have to see how this obviously continues on. Let's take a look at Ethereum here really quick as well. So Ethereum's doing the same thing. It's trading kind of sideways here. It's obviously been a little bit more volatile than Bitcoin has, but it is obviously also between our RSIs here, and it's holding steady. And looking at the RSI, trying to gauge, see if there's any preference and movement on it. And we go back to here, and we're right about the same price. So we're flat. We're basically directionless right now in the market. All right, so let's take a look at some of the tweets here that we have, some news as well, and then we'll get into the Stronghold deep dive on them. So Wolf of Wall Street today tweeted this. So BTC monthly, interesting, each month for now has put in a higher low with a clear flag top at 48,000. This looks like a potential ascending triangle. So could we be bouncing here for a couple more months, possibly at least 2 more months or so, 2.5 more months into May, June, and then possibly have a breakout here right around June, July area. So that's kind of interesting. And then we also have Will Clement, which tweeted, Here's what he said. A little leak from the Bitcoin user adoption report our team is working on. We are so early. Sometimes it's easy to let short-term volatility distract you from the big picture, and I agree. Sometimes you have to zoom out to see the big picture. Obviously, we have a lot of volatility right now, but looking at his chart here, we can see that obviously based on their report, we are still at the very early of the adoption phase here. And this is basically current adoption, mean adoption forecast, weighed mean adoption forecast, and that kind of what you're seeing. So this is percent of global population using Bitcoin. So we are still very early on, which leads us to this following story here. So Central African Republic adopts Bitcoin as legal tender. So now we got 2. El Salvador was the first one. Now we got this country here adopting it as legal tender also. So a statement from the President's office on Wednesday confirms the passage and signing of the necessary legislation. So confirming rumors that had been around for a few days, the Central African Republic has become the second nation in the world to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. According to a statement from President, I'm going to butcher this, so I do apologize, Faustine Archange, To Tudara's office, the National Assembly passed, and he signed a bill drafted by the Minister of Digital Economy, Gurona Zako, and the Minister of Finance and Budget, Calixte Nangango. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce this. The legislation established a legal and regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies and made Bitcoin legal tender alongside the existing CFA franc. There's a common narrative that sub-Saharan African countries are often one step behind when it comes to adopting new technologies. Finance Minister Harvey Nandoba said last week, as quoted in Bloomberg, "This time we can actually say that our country is one step ahead." The Central African Republic has a population of 4.83 million, around 11% of which have access to the internet. Less than a year ago, obviously, El Salvador became the first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. This is obviously a small country, but it's still good news. We have adoption where Bitcoin is being basically used as legal tender. So this is kind of like that little domino effect. One falls, the second one falls, and slowly it's going to be a whole line of countries that are going to obviously accept Bitcoin possibly in the years to come. So this is obviously good news. The other thing that came out yesterday or the day before, which I didn't talk about it yesterday, I read about it, but I forgot about it, but I thought it was interesting. And then obviously we have MircoStrategy now. So MircoStrategy to offer workers Bitcoin options in 401k accounts via Fidelity. So Fidelity provided that they're going to be allowing their 401k accounts to have basically Bitcoin in them. So CEO Michael Saylor's tweet comes the same day Fidelity said it will begin offering Bitcoin investment in its 401k accounts later this year. So MircoStrategy plans to offer its employees access to Bitcoin retirement plays through Fidelity's new Bitcoin 401k service, said CEO Michael Saylor tweeted Tuesday. MircoStrategy looks forward to working with Fidelity Digital Assets to become the first public company to offer their employees the option to invest in Bitcoin as part of a 401k program, Saylor said in a tweet. This is huge, right? Dominoes falling, adoption happening. This is great news. Obviously, the Bitcoin price obviously didn't react too much to this, but I think this is a lot bigger than news than it's actually being portrayed. So earlier Tuesday, Fidelity said it would give corporations who use its retirement savings rails a Bitcoin investment option later this year. Fidelity is one of the largest 401k providers, working with 23,000 corporations. The move is a further signal of legitimization of Bitcoin, although the crypto's wild price swings is hardly a safe bet for the faint of heart. Right? This is something that you want to invest in for the long term. This is not something that obviously you're retiring in the next 2 years that you want to get into possibly, but maybe a small portion of it, 3-5% of your portion in 401k, put it into that. But if you're going for the long term, you could go up to as high as maybe 10% or more, not financial advice. Do your own research as always. But I thought this was also great news here. More adoption, more places where people can use it, and now you can use it for your 401k, which is huge. And I'm sure we're going to see other companies other than Fidelity offering this as well. So I think the dominoes are going to be starting to fall. Next, we got obviously Riot Blockchain announces that they're going to be going to increase their facilities by 1 gigawatts. So here's what they had to say. So Riot Blockchain launches the development of 1 gigawatt facility in Navarro County, Texas for Bitcoin mining and hosting. The development's initial phase will see the facility with 400 megawatts of capacity and is expected to create 270 jobs in the local economy. The facility will be immersion cooled and is expected to be operational by July 2023. Here's the other part of it. I was trying to figure out what that would actually mean for how much hash rate they would have on it. And I'm still working on that, so once I figure that out, I will let you guys know. I'll put a tweet out or something like that. So Riot's estimated cost of the first phase of the expansion is $333 million, which will be incrementally invested through the remainder of 2022, 2023, and into the first quarter of 2024. After the first phase is completed and the initial 400 megawatt expansion is operational, the site will be expandable by another 600 megawatts, totaling 1,000 megawatts or 1 gigawatt, thanks to a 346 kilovolt Navarro switch located basically 1,250 feet from the facility. The switch location means a short easement is all that separates Riot from increasing its electrical output. So this is really big, obviously, for Riot, and I think it would get them to the point of maybe being even bigger than Marathon, but I got to run the numbers on it. So I thought this was kind of interesting as well. And once I run the numbers on it, like I said, I'll provide it to you guys here. But I'm guessing at 1 gigawatt, and I think they're going to be at total, what they currently have is 1.6, if I'm not mistaken. I don't see it here. But I thought they had like 600 megawatts already. Let me see if I can find it here. No, I don't see it. I thought I saw it someplace, but I thought it said that they had 600 megawatts. But all right, we'll figure it out. Next is Argo. So Argo provided their 2021 full year results. And we'll take a look at my spreadsheet here, just to what I had for them for the end of the quarter. Unfortunately, they don't provide the numbers for the Q4. It's all combined for the full year, and you're going to have to do a little math to figure out what they actually made for the quarter. But here's what we got. So revenue increased by 291% to 74.2 million pounds. So that equals $100.1 million. In 2020, they had 19 million pounds, or 25.6 million USD dollars, driven by a significant increase in Argo's hash rate. The temporary drop in difficulty on the Bitcoin network and higher Bitcoin prices in 21 was obviously what led to it. So mining margin was 84% in 2020 was 41%. This was driven largely by the increase in the price of Bitcoin through 2021 and the drop in global hash rate following the Chinese ban on Bitcoin mining. A beta net income was, let me see here, 30.8 million pounds, $41.5 million, a 2,033% increase over the prior year. And cash and digital assets held as of December 31st was amounted to 92.6 million, or 124.9 million based on Bitcoin's price at the time. Total number of Bitcoins mined was 2,045 in 2021, 17% lower than in 2020. This decrease is largely attributed to the halving event that occurred in May in 2020, which reduced the block award from 12.5 to 6.25. And at the end of, as of 31 March 2022, the group held 2,700 Bitcoin and Bitcoin equivalents valued at 93.6 million pounds, or $122.9 million, which is what they reported close to here. Operational highlights. So obviously they purchased 20,000 Bitmain S19 Pro mining machines. They expanded. And for some reason, I'm having issues with Yahoo today. Something's not working right with it. But yeah, so 220,000 Bitcoin machines, acquired 2 data centers in Quebec, GPU1 with combined total of 20 megawatts of power, and acquired Helios project in Dickens County, which has an interconnection agreement for up to 800 megawatts of power capacity. Phase 1 initial 200 megawatt expected to be operational in May. And for some reason it doesn't work. Yahoo's having issues. So let's get into the numbers that I have for them. Not much has changed. I was off by a little bit for the fourth quarter. And let's get into Argo here. We're looking at, there we go. So Argo said that they were 100.1 million in USD for the 4 quarters of 2021. So that is basically 101 million minus last 3 quarters, which equals to about 31.5 million in revenue for the 4th quarter, which is obviously a nice increase over 3rd quarter, which was almost 26 million. And that brings us up to, so that was a nice increase, obviously. Going forward, we're looking at possibly about, for the first quarter in 2022, we're looking at approximately 26 million based on what they provided here as mining. So in January, they mined 172, 135, and 163 in March. That's the values here. So they'll combine those all, and you get about 20 million in revenue for the first quarter of this year, looks like, just on the Bitcoin mining itself. Knowing what we know now, so I was off. I had them at 26.5 million, almost 26.6 million. So I was off by 5 million. And I knew that was going to be off because we weren't tracking the monthly price of Bitcoin, the hash rate of monthly. Now we're checking everything by month. So we should have more accurate numbers going forward. And this gets us to basically them being valued at, 5 times earnings right now. Price earnings multiple of about 5. They are at 76 cents right now using the ARBKF stock symbol, which leads us with about 471 million shares outstanding out there. Market cap is about 357 million right now. And, if we just increase this up a little bit to about 10, where I think they should be, or even higher than that, because they're going to be about, I think, 3.6. I have them at 3.7. They're saying that they're going to be a little bit higher than that, or they're planning to, but they haven't reported any new mining purchases. When they do that, I'll obviously update this and we'll go over it. But even if we go up to 12, they should be about $2 here for ARBKF. And if we go up to 15, about $2.42 as far as what I'm thinking it should be more in line with. Obviously, Bitcoin's going down right now, so that's dragging everything down. And obviously, the miners suffer the most when it's going down, but they also greatly appreciate when Bitcoin's going up. And we can obviously see them being at a 15 or even 20 multiple when Bitcoin starts going back up towards the 60,000 mark and higher. So that is it. So great year, obviously, for Argo. We obviously want to see more miners getting installed. They do have, obviously, in Q2 and Q3, about 20,000 miners, about 2 exahash getting installed right now. That's reported, and those are the Ant miners. So that'll be nice to see those getting installed. And obviously, the month is ending right now this week, so we'll get some updates from them for April, see how they did, and then we'll move everything over to include the last 3 quarters, which would be obviously Q1 of this year, and then the last 3 quarters of 2022 with the numbers to see where they actually should be going forward. But right now I have them about, if everything stayed the same, about 100 million in revenue right now for the year, if nothing else changed. So that's where we are with that. Bitcoin hodls, I got them at 2,700 right now. We'll get an update on that in their production for April. So that's it. Okay, so now let's take a look at Stronghold. So Stronghold, let me get rid of this one because this one's causing me issues. So Stronghold, let's reload this. Stronghold is kind of a weird beast on its own. They are kind of definitely different in what they are doing as far as mining. They obviously have their own power generation facilities, and they're using this kind of used spent coal, I think it's called, to run the operations, along with, I think they're running with natural gas, I believe. But we'll get into it, but it's kind of weird. We'll get into some of the numbers. Their numbers that they reported here, I was trying to make sense out of it all. I was driving myself crazy trying to figure everything out. So we'll kind of go over it a little bit slowly, just so you guys can understand where I'm pulling the numbers from and everything else. But let's go over just what they are, and then we'll get into the numbers here. So Stronghold Digital Mining is, we are Stronghold Digital Mining, the environmentally beneficial and vertically integrated Bitcoin miner. So actively improving the environment, our Bitcoin mining operations are powered through the reclamation of coal refuse sites across Pennsylvania, which I think is a really good thing. I think this is really great what they're doing. But when we look at the numbers here, as far as their costs, I don't know how they're going to be able to basically improve on those. Maybe they have a plan for it. I'm not aware of it, but we'll look at the numbers, and the numbers don't look that good. So coal refuse in Pennsylvania by the numbers. So there were 840 piles, 92 piles on fire as of December 2020. So that's obviously a little bit outdated. It would be nice to get some more recent data, which is greater than 228 million tons. And they have recovered basically greater than 8,500 acres of land, or that's covered basically by 8,500 acres of land. Power facilities. Our low-cost, environmentally beneficial power generation facilities have combined capacity of 165 megawatts. And then here's their leadership team. So Gregory Beard, William Spence, and Matthew Smith, and Richard Schaefer. And let's see what we can dig up on them here. Power facilities, so this is kind of interesting here. So Stronghold's power generation facilities convert coal refuse into power that is used to mine Bitcoin. Coal refuse is classified by Pennsylvania as a Tier 2 alternative energy resource, equivalent to large-scale hydropower, and the process of converting it into power allows the reclamation of large geographic areas that have been ravaged by its presence. So this once unusable waste material was left in expensive piles throughout the area because the technology did not exist to efficiently burn it. Today's circulating fluidized bed technology allows for the efficient and emission-controlled conversion of coal refuse into an energy. I don't know how clean it is. Some people might obviously say this is dirty. I'm not an expert. I'm not a scientist. I'm not even going to argue on that point. But I think it is good that they're actually getting rid of it in a hopefully an environmentally friendly way. So generation capacity of 85 megawatts, located on 650 acre site in Scrubgrass Township, Venango County, Pennsylvania. And then they got Panther Creek plant, generation capacity of 80 megawatts, located on 33 acre site in Borough of Ness. I'm not going to pronounce that. Carbon County, Pennsylvania. So that's that. And what else do we have here? Power facilities, environmental impact. I think we looked at that. Investors. Let's look at environmental impact really quick here. So what is coal refuse? So this is why are over 800 piles across Pennsylvania. Coal refuse is an environmentally harmful byproduct of Pennsylvania's legacy coal mining operations. Coal mining began in earnest in Pennsylvania in the 19th century and continued through the 20th century to meet the nation's growing demand for steel, fueling the Industrial Revolution and 2 world wars. Up until the passage of Federal Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act of 1977, the lower quality coal refuse was disregarded in large piles across Pennsylvania. So why are coal refuse piles problematic? Acid mine drainage and the largest source of water pollution in Pennsylvania. The combination of precipitation and the sulfur in coal refuse creates AMD, which runs off into nearby streams and rivers, killing aquatic life and threatening the water supply. Air pollution dust from the piles creates particulate matter pollution that can act as a wind-borne pathogen. Fires, wildfires, obviously, campfires, lighting can ignite the piles, and unattended piles can spontaneously combust through an oxidation process. So detrimental to natural resources. So here's how does How does Stronghold solve the problem? They remove the coal reuse from piles, eliminating the source of AMD, fires, and toxic emissions produced by the piles. Burn the coal refuse in emission-controlled manner. So removes 90% of nitrous oxide emissions, removes 99.9% of particulate emissions, removes 99% of mercury emissions, and capable of removing 98% of carbon dioxide emissions, SO2. Produce beneficial use ash as byproduct of the combustion process, which is classified as fertilizer. We are awarded an agricultural liming material license by Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. So this is actually pretty good. They're doing a lot of good with this, I think. So let me know what you guys think of them, obviously. But let's get into the numbers here. Like I said, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to get into the weeds on this. So this is from their March 29th report. So Stronghold Digital Mining reports fourth quarter and year-end 2021 results and provides operational update. So we're going to use this, and we're going to kind of go back and forth between my spreadsheet here to kind of uncover all the miners that they have. It wasn't easy. It was a lot of back and forth between the sheets trying to figure everything out. But here is basically what I have them at right now at approximately future hash rate of 5.3. I think they're saying they're going to try to get to 5.5, which is pretty close to that. Miners, we should have about the same. And then, well, let's take a look at the numbers, what they have, and then we'll come back to this. So as of December 31st, 21, we had received a total of 14,700 miners with a total hash rate capacity of approximately 1.3 exahash per second. So let's take a look at that. So this is what I have as far as the 14,700 miners. It's these right here. And we get pretty close to that. We get 1.367 exahash right now on this based on what they reported. And it's kind of tricky to figure this out. As of March 24th, 2022, we had received approximately 25,200 miners with a total hash rate capacity of approximately 2.3 exahash. So what are the numbers here? 25,200, which would be, I believe, all of these here. 25,200, yep. And that gets us to 2.34 exahash. So really close again to that number. That's just, we don't know exactly the details on what miners they are. So we're kind of using the numbers that they provide and getting it really close and to what they provided as far as what they were mining at the beginning of December. So we'll take a look at that here. So as of March 24, 2022, we have entered into purchasing agreement with an additional 29,400 miners to be delivered with a total hash rate capacity of approximately 3 exahash. This includes, this was kind of confusing to me, including 11,700 miners with total hash rate capacity of approximately 1.2 exahash associated with a delayed and uncertain order from Miner Ava Semiconductor. So this wording to me was really confusing, and I thought it was basically 29,400 plus 11,700. But that is not the case. It is the 29,400, which includes 11,700 miners from them. So total of 29,400 miners at 3 exahash is what we have here. So this is the 29,400 miners, which is at pretty much right on 3 exahash right here. And they do provide some details further on as far as which miners those are. So 3 exahash, total 1.2 exahash for the 11,700, which is what we have here, 11,700, 1.2 exahash. So they're approximately 102 terahash miners or so, given what we know from the information. On March 28th, 2022, they restructured existing data center hosting agreement on favorable terms to obtain additional 2,675 miners at a cost of $37.50 per terahash per second, and temporarily reduced our profit share to be received by the partner while incorporating performance thresholds until the data center builds out is complete. Don't know where that fits into it all. Don't know what the hash rate is on those. Have nothing, no data as far as what they're going to possibly be mining. So I'm leaving those off. I don't know if those were included in any of these. It was just, I couldn't figure it out. Going down here, so total liquidity at March 28, 2022 is approximately 50 million, comprising approximately 27 million in cash, including the approximately 24 million funded by Whitehawk Finance on March 28th. Under the amendment Whitehawk agreement, approximately 5 million in unrestricted digital currencies and approximately 18 million in available under existing financing agreements. Okay, so that's fine. So here's kind of where it gets a little tricky. So cryptocurrency mining update. As of December 31st, 2021, Stronghold had received approximately 14,700 miners with a total hash rate capacity of 1.3, of which more than 8,000 miners were hashing over 8 exahash. So we know at the end of December 31, they were mining with about 8,000 miners at 8 exahash. So here's what we have. I had to increase that number to about 8,600 based on the numbers that they provided earlier as far as what their hash rate is for these miners. I had to get up to about 8,600 of those miners, and then that got us to basically 800 petahash. So we are right there. Because even say here, of which more than 8,000, more than, but they didn't provide exactly what, so we had to kind of figure that out. For the fourth quarter of 21, Stronghold averaged a hash rate, so this is just their average, not interested in that. As of March 24th, 2022, the company had received approximately 25,200 miners with a total hash rate capacity of approximately 2.3 exahash, of which approximately 20,500 miners were hashing approximately 1.9 exahash. So going back to our numbers here, March, I have them at 1.9 here at the end with 20,500 miners, and that includes basically these miners here. So that's kind of what we're getting at right now as far as the best data that I could come up with on that. That's March. Okay, so the company's hash rate has been negatively impacted by delays in miner deliveries, delays in data center build-out, and operational challenges at its Scrubgrass power plant. To date, Stronghold has only received approximately 3,300 of the total 15,000 miners ordered from Minervera. See, that's 15,000 where I don't know where that's coming out of those numbers. Despite an initial delivery deadline of December 31st, so they're way behind now. The delivery deadline was later revised to April 30th, 2022, based on our communication with Minervera. So we'll see if they get those miners, obviously, this month. Nothing has been provided yet. Let's see here. What else? Okay, so excluding Minervera, Stronghold has approximately 21,900 miners delivered, of which approximately 18,500 miners are hashing, and approximately 17,700 additional miners ordered with hash rate capacity of approximately 1.8 exahash. Okay, so 17,000, so 1.8 exahash, so that's what we got here on that. And so that covers that. So this includes 12,000 Bitmain S19 Pros miners, which are contracted to be delivered in 6 equal monthly installments beginning in April 2022, and 1,800 Bitmain S19 XP miners, which are contracted to be delivered in 6 equal monthly installments beginning in July 2022. So that kind of gets us, so we got 12,000 and 1,800, so that gets us to 13,800. Total hash rate capacity associated with these deliveries from Bitmain Technologies Limited is over 1.4 exahash. Additionally, the company expects to receive approximately 2,300 miners from North America Data LP, approximately 1,600 miners from Cryptech Solutions. Associated with this purchase announcement on December 20th, 21, on March 28th, we restructured our existing data center hosting agreement on favorable terms to obtain an additional 2,675 miners at a cost, increased profitability, so forth, so on. So here's what we have on that. So here's where that 17,000 comes from. It's 12,000 of the S19 Pros, 1,800 of the S19 XPs, 2,300 of the Northern Data ones, 1,600 in Crypto Tech. We don't know. We know that's going to be 1.8 exahash. And then obviously the 11,700 are the 1.2 exahash. Where was that at? Where did I see that? That was earlier on. But that's kind of, that's why I'm saying this was really confusing, going back and forth between all these numbers, trying to figure everything out. Where was that? 11,000. 11,000. What is that number? 11,700. Let's do this. 11,700. 11,000. Here it is. So including 11,700 miners, total hash rate of 1.2. Okay, so that's where that came from. So we're good there. Covered that. We covered that part of it. Covered also this. So also as of December 31, 2021 and March 28th, Stronghold held on its balance sheet approximately 182 Bitcoins at the end of December and approximately 340 Bitcoins respectively. So now, I wish they would just say December we held X, and now March we are holding 340 instead of doing it this way. Power assets update. So Stronghold owns and operates approximately 165 megawatts of power generation capacity through its Scrubgrass plant and its Panther Creek plant. These plants generate power from coal refuse, which is a waste product of legacy coal mining. We know that. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has designated coal refuse as a Tier 2 alternative energy source. Okay, so we know that as well. Okay, fourth quarter 2021 financial results. Revenues in the fourth quarter increased 1,721% to 17.0 million compared to 0.9 million in the same quarter a year ago. The increase is primarily attributed to higher energy generation and crypto asset mining revenues. Operating expenses in the fourth quarter increased 1,641% to 31 million compared to 1.8. So here's that huge increase of operating expenses in the same quarter a year ago. The increase is primarily attributable to higher operating costs of the company's power assets to facilitate higher and more consistent power generation capacity for energy operations and cryptocurrency operations, in addition to higher general and administrative costs at Stronghold scales its organizational structure. Net loss for the fourth quarter of 2021 was 17.5 million compared to net income of 0.2 million for the same quarter a year ago. And full year 2021 financial results. Revenue for the full year of 2021 increased 651% to 30.9 million, which I believe I have them. Nope. I have them at 12.5 million is what they reported here. Right. Revenue. That's revenues of everything. But we'll get into numbers here. Liquidity. Okay, so here's where their operational guidance is. So delays in miner deliveries and data center build out, along with operational challenges at the Scrubgrass plant, have negatively impacted the company's 2022 cash flow and capital expenditure expectations. Accordingly, Stronghold believes a change to its near-term growth forecast is warranted and is therefore no longer targeting 8 exahash hash rate at the end of 2022. Based on current orders and assuming operations of miners received that perform in line with expectations, Stronghold estimates achieving a hash rate capacity of 5.5 exahash at the end of the year if the remaining Minerva miners are delivered, and 4.3 exahash if no additional Minerva miners are delivered. So it's pretty close to what I have. I have it 5.35. I think I have it. Yeah, 5.35. So I don't know where else they're getting that 150 petahash from. It could be from, I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so that's that. Let me see. I thought there were some numbers here. Yep, okay. So cash on hand, what we want to look at is 3 months ended, 12 months ended. So here is of operations, energy, crypto hosting. So they had obviously hosting of 12 months ended. Okay. So energy, they're obviously getting money for energy as well. But I'm looking at cryptocurrency mining and hosting. So here's the hosting part of it. They're making about 2.3 million a year from hosting. I don't know how much they're keeping of that, what the percentage on that is. But cryptocurrency mining was only 12.494 million for the year. And that's what I have here for the year. And then obviously we'll go into the next. So I probably should cut that in like quarters or something like that, and only have 3/4 of that for the previous 3 quarters and going into obviously this quarter, so that way we get a little bit more better numbers, but I'll have to look into it. Operating expenses, so this was obviously huge here. So total revenue was 30.9 million. Operating expenses was huge, was 53 million basically. So they are actually negative net operating income of negative 22 million. So that's why I said it's kind of a tricky one with them. They're obviously spending a lot of money to generate this electricity, but you would think that creating electricity would be a profitable business, not a negative business. So it is what it is, but here's what we got. Okay, so we went over the numbers. I hope that all makes sense for you guys. If you have any questions, obviously, let me know down in the comments below. But here's what else we got for them. So I checked the institutions side of it on Webull today. So 49 institutions are invested in them. They have about 8.5 million shares, and it's about 42% owned by institutions right now. They do have 2 strong buy ratings, 1 or 4 buy ratings, and price targets are $30 for the high, average is $17, and the low is $10. They did report 340 Bitcoin being basically held right now, so that gives us 13.4 million in value on that. They are at 1.9 exahash, like we reported, with 20,500 miners. That gets us to about 35% operational capacity right now from future hash rate, which they said is 5.5, and 5.3. And our hash rate is basically 93 terahash on average per the miners right now. Given all that we know right now, price is at 387 on the stock price. Market cap is 186 million. Shares outstanding is about 48 million. I'm just taking the stock price, market cap dividing by stock price, getting the shares outstanding basically. That gives us a price earnings multiple of 7 on them, basically at 75% net income at 376. If they can grow their hash rate and they can fix some of the issues that they're having, I think they can obviously get up to at least 12, 15 PE ratio. So we're looking at maybe 645 to $8 on the high end right now, based on what we're seeing here, based on the numbers. And this is also that we're using the 12.5 million of revenue, not the full amount that they had for the power generation and everything else. We're just going by simply this, because it's going to be difficult to figure out what they're actually mining, generating monthly, what their income is from the generation of power each month. And the other thing that kind of concerns me on them is they're not providing any monthly updates as far as how much they're mining, which is unfortunate. I wish they would do that, like some of the other miners do. I think, what was the other one that was also not doing that, that I just recently did? I think it was Bit Digital that also wasn't providing monthly updates. So if they do, that'd be great. So we'll update this as we can, like I said. But right now, with Bitcoin being down, it's no wonder all these miners are down. It's hard for me to say, especially with the part, like I said, with the generation of electricity. I'm surprised that they're not profitable in that. I don't know if they actually sell any electricity to the local communities or not, if they're not making on that. But even that, I mean, that seems really expensive to generate a lot of electricity to power these Bitcoin miners, and they don't have them all installed yet. And they're just, I guess, trying to keep up with the current demand that they do have. So let me know what you guys think of it. It's a tough one for me. I can't really, at least not now, recommend buying this because they're unprofitable. Some of the other miners are unprofitable, but at least we know what their costs are with electricity and everything else. These guys are paying a boatload for electricity right now. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Obviously, they're going to be a pretty good sized miner. I think what they're doing is actually pretty good. Using up all that junk. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got. A lot of stuff going on. Obviously, a lot of numbers. Thank you for bearing with me through all of this. It's been a long video, obviously. So if you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And then we'll see what else happens during the week as far as Bitcoin is concerned, whether or not we actually end the week on a red note or a green note. It'll be interesting to see. But we are having obviously adoption going in Bitcoin, another country, legal tender. So the dominoes are starting to kind of fall slowly, but they're falling. As always, the spreadsheet is available to Patreon members, and thank you to all my Patreon members for supporting me there. And have a wonderful evening. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.